Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Extra Connections, where I connect you to people, place, things, ideas. I am your host, James Law Jr., and I'm happy to be here today with you guys. It's the day after the eclipse. Yes, the eclipse that happened. I saw it on television. It was very cool. In my neighborhood here in Los Angeles, South Los Angeles, it did get a little darker. It was kind of weird. It got a little darker, and then it got bright again for a few minutes. It was actually kind of cool. I was actually home during that time while it happened. Right now, it's a bright sunny morning here. I'm talking to somebody. My guest today is across the country, one of my favorite cities of the world, where it's a little older, a little more advanced in time than I am. And I love that this technology. We can sit together, we can talk in the same space. My guest today is an actor, director, writer, and stage performer. First generation American of Dominican parents, New York raised, but now based out of Miami and Los Angeles. He graduated from the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, the Hollywood, California campus, and I found him on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, Roy Rodriguez. How are you doing, Roy?
Hey, James. Hey, what's up?
So, how are you doing this morning?
Be on the show again.
Yeah, so it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So those of you guys who don't know, you should listen to our other show we did, my other podcast, A Lot of Help. He tells about an incredible story that what he went through, how he turned into something positive, and his philosophies and MMA and boxing and stuff. And it's a good show, you guys. So you totally check that out. You go to iTunes, for that podcast. It's there. It's the last one that was on, so you can't miss it. We had a good talk. So we're going to bring him on for this one. We're going to have a nice talk on this one about his acting world. There are a lot of people out there who are, I call hyphenates. We do several things at once. And so this is now his passion. We're going to talk about his passion and what he loves about this business and some of his work that he's done. So folks out there, just so you know, I found him on YouTube. Like I said before, I found him on YouTube. And I saw, which tells me, people, you never know who's watching you. You never know who's watching you. And he had some short films on there, some vlogs on there, his one-man show he did back in college, all kinds of stuff's on there. So I say, check that's Roy's World. You got to check that. We'll talk about that a little later. But first, I want to ask you, Roy, what is it about acting that do you feel like it's a calling? Do you feel like it's something that you just were born to do? Or did it come to you like, later, you're like, did you fall into it and go, oh, I'm good at this, I like it?
Well, honestly, it's a kind of like a mixture of both. Because I didn't start acting as a kid. Well, sort of. I mean, the way I got into the acting world was one time when I was about 10, 11 years old. I used to work. I started working when I was like 8 or 9. I started packing bags in a supermarket my mom used to work in, and I used to make my own money, in the weekends and buy my own video games and stuff like that. And one day we were on our way back home, and on the radio there was a commercial about this acting workshop. And I was like, hey, man, that sounds kind of interesting. And I talked to my mom, and she was like, if you're interested, let's see if you like it, whatever. So she put me in it, and I loved it. I mean, I had a bunch of fun, and I turned out to be pretty good at it. I picked it up really quick, and then I actually got qualified to go to the IMTAs, the International Model and Talent Association Awards, in Los Angeles. So I actually traveled to Los Angeles way before I moved. I ended up moving there as an adult. So I traveled to Los Angeles for about a weekend, competed in a convention that they had. I didn't win anything, but there were a few agents and a few producers that wanted to work with me. They had called my parents and wanted me to move to Los Angeles to work, to start working with me. But my dad, at the time he was with us, and he decided that, he didn't want to go over there. He wanted to move to Miami. So unfortunately we didn't. But everything happens for a reason. That's the way I've looked at it in life, And basically 10 years later, what happened was, as we talked about in the last show, I ended up getting stabbed up a couple times, actually 5 times, and in one night. And before that, while that was going on, before I got stabbed, I was in college playing baseball. I had dedicated the last few years to baseball. Like full time. From the morning to the afternoon to the night, I was just always practicing because I really wanted to make it to the major leagues. That's the way I looked at it. You know, I've been playing baseball my whole life, and I thought that was my calling. That's what I thought. But it never really went well for me. You know, I was always picked last. I was always on the bench. I played good, and I was diligent. You know, I played hard, and I practiced hard, but you know, for whatever reason, I never really shined in baseball. But you know, all my hard work paid off. I got into college, and then that's when I ended up getting stabbed. In the stabbing, aside from getting stabbed in the head and the lung and the liver, I got stabbed twice in my throwing arm. So I was the starting shortstop of my college, and that was gone. You know, I was benched again, and I was like, I couldn't take it. The heartbreak was too big. So I was just really lost for a while, you know, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what, you know, I was like, God, what am I supposed to do? You know, I had dedicated all of my time and energy into baseball. What am I supposed to do? And then, boom, another commercial on the radio comes on about an acting workshop in Miami, actually. So I was like, hey, you know what? That's like, it was just like a flashback. I'm just gonna go and try it out. So I did. The director that was there, that was teaching the class, the workshop, he had pulled me over to the side and he was like, listen, Roy, you are one in a handful of people who have this naturally. Like, it just comes to you naturally. But you need to work on your craft. And at first I was like, what the heck is a craft? You know?
Right.
So I was like, you know, I guess I'll figure out what a craft is. He's like, yeah. Just go to New York or L.A. and work on your craft. And I had just been finished getting stabbed in New York. So I was like, I'm not going back to New York right now.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I'm going to, you know what? I've never been to L.A. I was feeling like, you know, I needed to do something new, something big. So I actually moved to LA by myself. And I didn't know anyone there except for the guidance counselor at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. You know, I set it up there. I went and auditioned for a weekend. I went for a weekend. I auditioned, and I got a scholarship. And it was just the beginning of something new for me. You know, I was there.
Well, let's stop there. Okay, let's stop there for a second.
Yeah.
You gave us a lot of information, so I want to break this down. Because let's show an extra connection. So let's start there. So we got you to LA. Okay, let's first go back. Let's talk about first. So how old were you when you first, like you said, when you were with your mom? How old were you at that time? Before you saw it.
When I first did the workshop,
yes.
And I went to LA for the IMC,
yes.
I was around 11, 12, around that age.
Okay, so 11 and 12, you come to Los Angeles. What did you think of Los Angeles when you first came at that age? Was it big? Was it bright? What was it for you?
It was enormous to me, you know, and we stayed in this like 5-star crazy hotel.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it was. I can't remember now the name of the hotel, but I remember how crazy it was. It was divided by colors. Each sector had a color. And, since there were so many other actors and models there, it was a bunch of kids. So we you know, I got to know a bunch of friends, and we, you know, we were traveling from color to color.
Wow, how funny!
Section to section. It was really cool. It was
amazing. For some reason, that hotel sounds kind of familiar. I'm trying to think if I remember, because you were a kid in the 90s, right? So I'm trying to think what was big in that. I can't remember what hotel tonight. That sounds really interesting. Wow. Okay. So would you keep it?
I can't remember the name of it, to be honest. It was a 5-star hotel. It was divided by 4 sectors. Each sector had a color. Okay. And it's all about, it was huge. It was tall. It was huge. And it had a convention center too in the hotel.
Okay. So anybody who is listening to this podcast, if you remember that hotel, comment below and let me know, because I'm kind of curious now. I can't remember. I mean, it sounds kind of familiar, and I can't remember what it is.
Curious, honestly. I'm about to research this. Like, man, I need to find this hotel.
Well, I mean, if you research it, Roy, then you comment underneath the video and you tell us what it is. I mean, somebody comment under the video and let us know what it is, because I am really curious to what that is now. Awesome. But you came for that workshop. So here's the thing. I also want to break down too. At this point, you're 11, 12 years old. Your mother is actually supportive of this venture, because a lot of parents, acting is like, it's, you know, as you know now, unstable, not a career that anybody can make it in. You know, that kind of thing. But she was. What do you think? Why your mother was so supportive?
Well, to be honest, my mother is amazing, and I don't say it just because she's my mother. She's just, I've noticed, you know, other upbringings and other parents and stuff like that. And my mom has just been an amazing woman. She has always supported me. She has always had my back. You know, I can tell her everything, anything. She's my best friend, and you know, anything, unless it's something that she really sees as wrong or maybe in her eyes evil, then of course she would be against that. But anything that I want to do, anything that I want to try out, she's just all for it. Like, go ahead, Roy, do what you got to do. I'm here. I'm here for you, So I thank God, that I have her.
That's very cool. Actually, like I said, a lot of parents aren't like that support when it comes to certain professions because they want the best. They want what's best for you, of course, and it's just hard sometimes to like allow kids to do that. But then also you heard a commercial, and it totally you followed up on that and had a five-star hotel experience while you're here. The next thing I want to talk. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying it was amazing.
Yeah, and the next thing I want to talk about too, though, is you guys were cross country, and that's something because at this point you grew up in the Bronx, right, New York.
Queens.
Queens. Sorry, Queens. I'm sorry. Now, everybody from New York knows you don't make those mistakes. Everybody has their borough. I'm from New York. I know people. I know. I'm like, you don't do that normally, so I apologize. It's Queens, folks. Queens. Do you have a neighborhood in Queens you want to shout out?
Yeah, Corona, Queens.
Okay, there you go.
Jamaica, Queens.
Okay.
Those are the places I was really raised in. I was born in Flushing, so
I know Flushing. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I was born in actually Flushing Hospital. So.
Oh, okay. So a little shout out to Flushing, Jamaica, Corona. Okay, so we get a little shout out to our New York peeps. We love New York.
Shout out, yeah.
My shout out goes to my grandma who was in Brooklyn, who passed away this week. But we love Park Slope, Fort Hamilton Parkway.
Yeah.
They'll always be part of my life. Okay, so
my condolences goes out to that.
Thank you.
Like I said before, I just want to say this: it takes bravery. Like I said, it takes bravery to be going through in amidst of a heartache and still do what you do, and I appreciate that. I'm proud of you, man.
Oh, thank you. I think you make me cry. I totally appreciate that. It's not easy, but sometimes you kind of have to. She would want me to, so you just kind of have to move on. Now we'll continue mourning her for a long time, obviously. But we come from New York stock. New York stock, we're strong. We come from strong people. That's what it is, right?
Yes, sir.
And we come from the Caribbean, so we got some strong folks in the Caribbean too. We come from that. So let's go fast forward a little further because you also dropped, for people who haven't listened to the other podcast, a little bombshell that you were stabbed several times. And all we're going to say is listen to the other podcasts. A lot of help, and he'll explain fully what happened. I just want to talk about in relation to you, Rosalie. You were going for baseball, and this is actually a common story. You're going for sports, and then an injury happens. For you, it's a life and death injury, but an injury happens, and you're almost forced to kind of. So you said for a second there, I want to talk about a little more about this. How hard was it really for you to say, "I'm not doing baseball. I can't do it"? Like, how hard was that decision?
Listen, a lot of tears. A lot of tears, a lot of pain, a lot of heartache. I felt worthless. I felt useless. I felt like my purpose was taken. I was like, what am I going to do? And it took me a long time. Even when I said I was going to do acting, even while I was in LA and studying acting, I was still holding on to baseball. I was still talking about it. I was still, it still hurt. It still hurt, and if anybody who ever talked about it, I started to cry, and it took a while. It took a while because when you just zero in and you're just like, this is me. This is what I got to do. This is my purpose. It's like no one can take it from you. No matter how much. Listen, I got cursed at by coaches. I got told that I was nothing. I got told that I was crap. But none of that stopped me. I was like, I don't care what you say. This is me. This is my purpose. This is what I'm gonna do. So I didn't let nobody take that from me until it was taken from me.
Yes. Yeah. But I think you talk about being brave. I think it's also brave to go through the emotion and then have to accept it. And you're gonna have to move on somehow because that's what you have to do, right? You're a man. That's what you have to do. You have to move on, correct?
Yeah, got to do it. We're living, right?
Right.
As long as we're living, we got to do something. If we're living, that means we're here for a purpose, and we have to fulfill that purpose, And I just had to find what it was. I thought that it was one thing, and God revealed to me that it wasn't. It was something else, and acting to me, if you want to get into that, like when I got to school, everything changed for me. You know, my view of acting changed. I was pulled there. I wouldn't say I was driven there. I was pulled there, and when I got there and I started studying what acting really was, and I understood what it was. I just completely fell in love. I was like, "What? This is what I was meant to do." I never got tired. I never, ever went into a rehearsal thinking, "Oh man, I got to do this again." You know, and there were people around me who I can tell were not actors. You know, even though they had a little talent, they can act. They just weren't actors because they didn't have that passion. They didn't come to school like, "Hey, let's go! I can't wait to do the scene again. We get another take. Let's do it. Let's do it. We get another one. Let's go." You know, most people were like complaining that they had to do it over and over again, and I just never got tired of it. when you love something, it doesn't matter how exhausted you are, or how tiring it is, or how many times you have to do it. You just get up and enjoy it. And to be honest, I never enjoyed school growing up. I was not a good student in school. I mean, it wasn't because I was dumb. I was a smart kid. I would pass, you know, with minimal effort, but I wouldn't pass with A's. I wasn't an honor student. I didn't care about going to school, you know. But when I went to this school, it was completely different, and that's why I like to tell people out there that college is not about a diploma. College is not about a piece of paper that you want to put on your wall or something that's going to help you get a job one day. College is about developing something that you love to do and learning how to do that much better and maybe better than anyone else. That's how I viewed my college experience when I went to American Academy of Dramatic Arts. I woke up every day at 5 o'clock in the morning with a big old smile on my face, and I had to walk and take the bus and take the train to get it, by the way, because I could only afford an apartment in Koreatown. So I had to take a couple trains and walk, and I didn't care. I went the whole way with a big old smile on my face, reviewing my lines and going through my characters. And I would on the train, I had a notebook and I would write down characters that I would see these crazy people in LA on the subway. I'd be like, wow, that's a cool character, and I just like start writing down that character, you know. And it was just honestly, it was an amazing experience. I really got to know what acting was, and to act is to be. Acting is being. It's everybody's acting all day, every day. They just don't know it. They don't know that they're acting like who they think they are. Okay, I'm Roy, so Roy is gonna go into the store, and Roy is gonna do this, and that. That's acting. Like, you can go into the store, like, you know what, today I want to be Paul. Right. And Paul is nothing like Roy. Paul has an anger problem, and Paul is about to curse these people out. You know, everybody's acting all the time. You just choose to act like yourself.
Right. Okay, so let's break that down. I'll break that down, too. So let's go back to you. Okay, so you accepted baseball as going to be your future. You get the acting bug has hit you. You said something that I do want to talk about, which is really important, which is schooling. And you gave us kind of your philosophy a little bit on the schooling. So I was going to ask you, what did schooling do for you? And you kind of answered that. So that's good. That it was important for you to further develop your skills, because I always tell people, sometimes people in high school, some of these high schools are so just generic. And there are a lot of smart people like us who get bored with high school. I hated high school. High school was just like, I mean, I was there because I was there. I graduated, but like my life didn't begin until college, until later, until afterwards. And I think that's important because nowadays, because my grandkids go to art-based schools now. Now they're starting to make schools a little more the charter school system. Now there's schools that are starting to incorporate arts and music and sports programs that they didn't have when we were kids. Especially when I was a kid, they didn't have that. And then when you were a kid, they didn't have it yet either. But are just as important, because I think there are smart kids, but they say art really does help your mind expand.
Yeah.
So I'm sure in college you learned a lot.
It sparks the creativity in your mind, but no matter what field you want to put that in, creativity is needed.
Yes, I agree with that. That's a very good statement. I agree with that completely. And I think that's what you said. It was like college is a place not just to get a diploma, because nowadays anybody can get a diploma and it don't mean anything. I mean, I'm sorry, everybody who's listening, I mean, you should go to college, you can, but I'm just telling you, now it's hard out there. So it's like, try to get a diploma and try to get something that you can learn to use. And that's what Roy kind of said too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is when I went to going back to the director who gave me the workshop here in Miami. He told me, go work on your craft, and I didn't know what a craft was. until I really went to school and learned my craft. And you can learn a craft in anything. You could be a craftsman. You can have a craft as a mechanic. You know, it's your craft. No other mechanic is going to do the way you do things if you're passionate about it. You know, if you have your own craft, if you've developed a style for yourself, you know, and that's really, I guess, what craft really is. It's your style, but you have to develop it. This is something you have to work on and dedicate time to and focus on. You know, when I went to school, it changed my life completely. I became a completely different person, like a completely different person. You know, and it wasn't about the diploma for me. It wasn't about getting A's. You know, because it never was about that for me. In school, it was never about getting A's. And yeah, hey, I would love to get A's. There's some people out there that are driven by A's, and that's why they're the honor students. And that, you know, those honor students, they can get into better colleges. So listen, college is definitely a great opportunity. It's definitely a great option. I suggest people go to college, but don't just go to college. You know, go into, and you don't even have to go to college. You can go to a special institute.
That's
true.
true.
You can go to an auto institute if you want to be a mechanic. You can go into an institute where you learn, physical therapy. You know, like there's a lot of different styles out there. A lot of different careers. I'm sorry, that you can develop your own style for. You know.
Now, what did you learn at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts? What did you specifically, because you went there and you had to learn a craft. What are some of the things that you learned while you were there?
Wow, that's a big question because I learned so much.
So give me a few things that just that really have helped you as an actor.
Okay. Number one, let me just say that I don't know about the other campuses, but the American Academy of Dramatic Arts Hollywood campus has amazing teachers, really amazing teachers. They're dedicated. They're really dedicated to you. They're dedicated to you specifically, even though they have classes. And it was awesome. It was an awesome experience for me. One of the first teachers that I had was actually the first teacher that I had. He was the best teacher that I had, and I can say that right now. Out of all the teachers I've had in my life, his name was Mr. Solon. He was from New York, and he was an old school theater actor, you know, and became theater director. He worked with the original theater groups. You know, and he was just so raw and so straightforward, and that's the kind of style I'm used to because I'm from New York. So he just spoke my language, and one of the first things that I really learned that really changed my life was what I said earlier about acting is being. To act is to be, and that was so impactful for me. A lot of people didn't get it, but a lot of people, they want to go up on stage and act. They want to act like somebody. You know, but when you're up there trying to act, then people can see that you're acting. You know, but when you're up there and you're being that person, you are that person for that moment. For your thoughts are even from that person. Your vocabulary is from that person. Your walk is from that person. You become that person for that moment in time. You know, sometimes it's a little dangerous as an actor getting so in depth with your characters. I mean, you look at Heath Ledger with the Joker. And then you see what happens, you know what I mean? Because he really immersed himself into that role, and amazing job, absolutely amazing job, best Joker ever. One of the most, honestly, influential characters that I've ever seen. Not because he's a psycho or anything, but because he really immersed himself in that role, and he was that person. You watch people who are really acting, who are being that character, and you get lost. You just get lost in their world because you can see their world, you know. But when somebody's out there trying to act, then you're just like, you feel uncomfortable. You feel like, why is this person making those faces? Like they're doing something extra, and that was one of the first things I learned.
Very good. Now,
Shakespeare.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Tell me one thing. Sure.
No, I was going to say that another thing that really opened up another world for me was Shakespeare.
Okay.
And Shakespeare, I know that you can learn in a lot of different places, and I know even in high school they have some Shakespeare and English classes and stuff like that, and language arts classes. But Shakespeare, wow, genius. created his own language, created his own storyline. Like wow, I mean, amazing. And when you look at Shakespeare for the first time, it looks like Chinese, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, I'm sure. The language is hard. No, the language is hard. Yes, it is.
And you just can't you can't just memorize Shakespeare and say it,
Right.
because people just won't understand you.
Right.
You know? It's a really even just a monologue. You have to study it in depth. I actually have a monologue from my favorite Shakespeare play. It's called Macbeth. And I actually have a monologue where I'm playing Macbeth, and it's on YouTube. I have a green hoodie on.
Yes, you do. Yes,
and,
you do.
I do it in an English accent. Yeah, it's one of my favorite monologues, and that's why I recorded it that day. That day that I recorded that, I was actually done shooting a different short film, and I was like, "Hey man, can you record this monologue?" And the guy recorded the monologue, and it came out great, and I posted it. And honestly, it's been one of my favorite monologues that I've ever done. But just to see myself do that, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Shakespeare just opened up another world for me when it comes to poetry, when it comes to the richness of words.
Yes, yes, and that's something, because Shakespeare, yeah, he's no one to play with, and he has complex themes too. I mean, it's not just you're learning words, you're also learning the themes of his plays. Because there's some of the themes are very mature, some of them are very complicated, some of them are straightforward. But you're learning context. You're learning. You're right on that one. There's a lot to learn on those. I think anybody who can do Shakespeare, I bow down to you on that one. Because I don't know how. I don't know. How do you memorize lines? That's what I always like to ask actors.
Oh yeah, you see, that was part of the craft learning in school. Yeah. You know, they taught us different ways. A lot of teachers had different techniques, but the way that resonated with me the most was I don't memorize the lines. I do memorize the lines, but first I memorize the thought patterns.
Okay.
Because if you memorize lines, just words, first of all, there's nothing behind the words, so people won't really understand what you're saying. Even if it's plain old English, if you're just saying lines, there's no emotion behind it, there's no thought behind it, there's no intention behind it. So people are just like, I'm bored, you know. Mm-hmm. But if you memorize the lines, the feelings, the emotions behind it, then that's completely different. That's how I do it. So what I mean by that is, like, what thought brought this other thought into existence? Okay, this girl slapped me. Okay, this girl slapped me. So I said this. I said this. Why? Because I was hurt, right? And from there, the lines just come out naturally because you're going over the lines constantly. To be honest, I kind of don't even spend time memorizing the lines. I go over them so much, understanding the lines, that the lines just flow out. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's more what's behind the lines, the intentions behind it, and the objective. The objective is very important. The objective is one of the, if not the most important part of the scene, because what is your objective in that scene? You know, you go into the scene. Why are you in that office? What are you trying to get? What do you need from this person? What do you know? And that's why I say that acting is being, because that's the same thing. If in real life, if you go into that office and you're trying to get something from that person, you know exactly what your intentions are. You know? Mm-hmm. But as an actor, a lot of people want to walk in and just spit out lines.
Yes.
You know, it's not about the words, it's about what you're saying.
Yes, that's very true. I just posted, so folks who are listening to this podcast can go to the Community and Extra Connections Facebook page, and that monologue is posted on there, so you can see it for yourself. As we're talking about, awesome. and his one-man show, which we're going to talk about in a second too, we posted on that page too, so you can see both of those are on the page. You can watch them and comment and talk about them and let me know what you think. Now, also, okay, so you said you now at the same time, because you're coming out to school for acting and you're living in Los Angeles. I think luckily you came from a city like New York that you kind of grew up fast there in terms of getting around the city and being in an urban jungle. But how was Los Angeles for you for a little bit there?
To be honest, it was very similar. I had lived mainly in New York and Miami most of my life. So to me, LA was kind of like a mixture of both. It was like New York City style, but it had the heat, with it, you know, that New York doesn't really have. New York has a cold kind of bitterness to it, and LA is way more laid back and warmer, you know. Which is also actually very frustrating when you're driving around in traffic because people are just like chilling, they're just like driving nice and slow, getting to work or just enjoying their ride, and I'm like, get out of my way.
Yeah, that's very true. Yes, that's very true.
Come out on the street.
Yes.
But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed excuse me, the time that I spent there. I definitely would go back. I've actually planned on going back. But right now I'm for certain reasons I'm here in Miami. But at LA, especially because I lived in a building too. Like I moved into an apartment in Koreatown.
You say Koreatown, which is like one of the. It's like Koreatown here in Los. If you're not from Los Angeles, it's the center of actually geographically of Los Angeles, and it's like it has a very city feel there. Lots of tall buildings, lots of. It has a very city feel there. Yes.
Yeah, I had a fire escape right outside.
There you go.
Outside my door, I had a fire escape. You know, actually, when I first moved there. I moved there in December 2010. I was 21. I had just turned 21, and I remember I was sitting on the fire escape on New Year's Eve by myself, and I was just looking at the Hollywood sign because I could see the Hollywood sign from my building.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was just crying because I was by myself. I was in a city I didn't know anyone in, but I felt so free, so liberated. I felt so empowered, and it wasn't tears of sadness, it was tears of joy that I can actually take that step, and that a lot of people thought I was crazy about. They were like, what do you mean? You don't even know anyone out there? What are you talking about? And I was just, you know, I barely told anyone anyway. When a lot of people that know me found out that I moved to Los Angeles like 6 months after I was there.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was just an amazing feeling, and especially because I'm on a fire escape. You know, I grew up on fire escapes. You know, I got my the New York feel, but I'm staring at the Hollywood sign, and I'm just like, I'm here. You know, I'm here. I'm doing it. You know.
That's a good point too. Is that in the middle of this crazy, anybody trying to get into this business, sometimes you got to take a moment and catch those moments where you're like, wow, I'm doing what I came out here to do. No matter how hard it could be, we know the grind and the hustle, we know all that. But there's moments where you have to sit and just kind of go, okay, I'm here and I am trying this, and on some level it's working. On some level, and I don't know for how long, but like right now, let me appreciate that. That's something.
To be honest, that goes back into one of the most important things I learned in acting school and as an actor. Is to appreciate the moment. There was a lot of moments that I appreciated while I was in LA, and still even now when I'm in Miami, wherever I go, I always take moments because when you're acting, it's all about the moment. It's all about the present moment. Right now, don't think about anything else. It's you and whoever your actor co-star is, whoever you're acting with. It's just you and that person, or you and those people, and nothing else matters. You're in this world. And it's about this moment right now. And that made me appreciate life wherever I went. You know, I just take a moment. Hold on. Let me just take a moment and take a long, deep breath and look around and just, take in the presence, take in the presence.
Yeah, acting is very present. And every actor I ever talked to, and I've done a little bits of acting myself, and you have to be very present while you're there. Because you want to give to your co-star. You want to receive from your co-star. You want to be able to, be in the moment and create like you said, like earlier, the most possible authentic scene that you can give. Because, like you said, you see people out there who really can't act, or that they're really trying hard and trying to find the emotion during the scene. That's not good. That's not good. That's not good at all.
You should have found the emotions way before the scene started.
Yeah, sorry.
And then let it all go. So that in that moment, when you're in that scene and you're in that moment, the emotions are already there. These are things you learn as an actor as well. To prepare yourself 100%, and then as soon as you walk through the door, leave everything outside because everything is there.
Now,
my teacher, Mr. Solon, used to say, never look at your script the day that you're gonna act. Don't ever. There's no answers there. There's no answers there. The answers are all within you already. The work is already done. The work should be already done because some people it's not. But most actors who are especially successful actors they know that they go in and their work is done already. They did all the work. You know, they don't have to think about lines or emotions or anything. You know, they're just they're going in like that person. You know.
Interesting. Okay.
And then going back to your question about how I thought of LA, one of the things was that was really impactful for me was that because I was from the city and I was used to taking trains and buses, that it wasn't a problem for me at all, and I actually enjoyed it. You know, I like I said, I would write down a lot of characters and a lot of different scenarios and situations on the train on the way to work. I mean, on the way to school.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to talk about also, because while you're in school, you did a monologue called Motivational. I'll talk about that in a second. But folks out there say, go ahead, again, listen to the other podcast, a lot of help for the story of how he got stabbed. But you basically were in a fight, and you got stabbed 6 times. You said 5 times?
5 times, yeah.
Yes.
I have 6 scar wounds, but one of them was the doctor because he had to put a tube in me for 3 days because my lung was collapsed.
Okay, folks, see, so some serious stuff happened. I want to know how that really changed, how that affects your acting. Are you able to draw from that experience? Has it really, or has it made you more present? Has it made you more has it made you more focused? Like, what did it do for you in terms of your acting career?
Well, listen, there's a lot of things that went on in my life that prepared me for acting, because the more experience of life that you have, the better actor you're going to be, because you can draw on real experiences and real emotions. You know, a lot of sometimes people who haven't gone through a lot of things in life, they have to find that experience somewhere else. You know, they have to study that experience and see how that person felt and everything. But when you have that personal experience yourself, it's easy to just boom, you just got it. You know. Yeah. So emotional availability was never a problem for me.
Okay.
Listen, when I was 3 years old, I got pushed off these cement stairs in a softball field, and I went the whole time biting my tongue all the way down, and I split my tongue in half, and I had 18 stitches going down my tongue. 18 stitches going down my tongue. And that was when I was 3. The next day, I was eating fried salami. This thing has never been too much of a thing for me. Like when I was around 10 years old, I was on my way to a baseball game, riding my bike. My bag got stuck in the front wheel. I went flying. The bike landed on my head and split my head in half. So I have a hole in my head, on the top of my head, and I got 3 stitches there. You know, I ran into a brick wall when I was in 1st grade. I got stitches over on my other side of my head. If I shaved my head, which I did for my one-man show, you can't see it because of the recording, and you know, it's a stage performance. But anyone who was there can see all the scars all over my head. I have scars everywhere. So you know, I had been through so many things, but the one thing that getting stabbed did for me as an actor was that it took away fear.
Oh, okay.
I had no fear. I had no fear. That's the number one thing that I've had. I've always had no fear. I was always the first one up to do anything in school. When it came to actual performances, I had no fear at all. I was actually more excited to get on stage and do it. You know, that was one thing that, because getting, you know, when you tell yourself in your head, I got stabbed.
Right.
What else can go wrong?
Right. Oh my God. Right.
What can be bigger? You know, what can be bigger than that? Oh, getting on stage in front of people, that's supposed to scare me? No, I'm good. You know, I'm about to go up there and have a bunch of fun and get these people entertained. You know, and I love entertaining people. I'm a very entertaining person in person. You know, if you got to know me at a party or anywhere, you know, I'm actually kind of antisocial. I won't go up to anyone and talk to them, but once I'm in a circle, once I'm talking to somebody, I'm very animated. You know, I guess the actor comes out of me, and I'm pretty entertaining.
That's so interesting. But I guess if you get stabbed or have fall or have holes in your head or whatever, then I guess acting really wouldn't be so scary anymore. I think that makes a lot of sense. When you've gone through, like I've been through a few traumatic situations, and I've gotten a little less scared because I'm like, I survived that, so I'm sure I can survive anything else. You kind of learn that after a while, but you can survive. Okay, so you do a one-man show and called Motivation. You can talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Well, one-man show was actually the first time I had ever been on stage as an actor. You know, I had done like the competitions when I was younger in LA for the IMTAs and stuff like that. And you know, I had done projects in the school. You know, parts of theater plays. You know, in front of people.
Right.
But the first time I was actually on a real stage as an actor was my one-man show. And it was an exhilarating feeling because I wrote it myself. It was directed by Deborah DeLiso, who is a great one-man show director. She's awesome. She does one-man shows like 2 or 3 times a year.
Okay.
So definitely hit her up if you're interested in doing a show. Yeah, that was my first writing experience. I didn't even know what I was doing. I had a choice for when we were graduating. We had to choose like electives, and one of them was Shakespeare, one of them was musical theater, and the other one was a one-man show. I had already done musical theater in the school, and it wasn't my thing, to be honest. And I had already done Shakespeare, which I loved, but I was like, you know what? Let me try out the one-man show thing. I never experienced something like that. And the first day of class, we go in, and Deborah DeLiso was like, yeah, so you guys are going to write for about this. She just gave us a subject, and she was like, you know, and it was mainly about ourselves. Like, look, find a place in your past where blah, blah, blah happened. And then she just walked out, and I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do here? So
right.
I just started writing, and wow, it just poured out. And every single writing, every single writing assignment that she gave us, it was just a new experience. I was like, wow, this is awesome. And little by little, I went putting together my show. And once I did the show, it was exhilarating. You know, it was the first time also that I had seen myself recorded too. So
okay.
That was the first show that I ever actually posted on YouTube. And I actually posted that on an old YouTube account that I had. If you notice, it's not on Roy's World.
Yeah.
Roy's World is one account and it has all my films and short films and stuff like that I've done. But the one-man show is on a different account, and I never moved it. I don't even have it. I don't have the disc or anything like that. It's just on YouTube there. And you know, I've told you before that there's times that I felt, you know, a little insecure. And felt like maybe I should take it off because it's pretty personal. And it's not, the stabbing thing is not the personal part for me. The personal part for me is the part with my mom and my dad, that whole experience. Because, you know, I love my dad, and as much as, you know, we've had our problems growing up, I love him, and I still respect him, and I honor him. So it's kind of personal, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you said, you never know who's watching.
Right.
And that made me rethink, you know, and I'll never forget that, James. You know, you never know who's watching. And I was like, wow, he's right. You know, I just need to keep doing work. I need to keep putting it out there.
You do. And here's this. So let's stop there. So you, okay, so there's so much to talk to you about. Because you really, like, I don't know if you really understand. You have a fascinating life and a fascinating outlook. I don't even know if you really get it. Like, as an outsider,
I'm what?
You have a fascinating life. Like, you don't even understand. I don't even think you understand fully why our first show was so successful. I think I get it now. Kind of like we have so much to talk to you about. But no, okay, so I want to. Okay, so writing, because you have written a couple things since then, and one of the things you wrote and acted and produced was "Call Your Daddy," which is a short film you did with Travis Quentin. It is, okay, folks. It is so violent. So just to tell you, a little warning. Very interesting. I don't know. I mean, as short films do, it picks up in a spot. You're like, what's going on? Excuse my language, but what the fuck? And then it ends with the what the fuck? Like, it's just like, it is crazy. And you wrote and co-produced that, and you acted in that, and beautiful house, some great stunts, some gore. I love that pool. But first, so writing. Do you like writing now?
Writing, I do like writing. I actually love writing, but it does take a long time and a lot of focus. You know, if I have time, I can write for hours. But if I don't have time, if I sit down to write, unless I already have what I'm about to write, it takes me a while to get into it. But once I get into it, it just flows. It flows and flows. You know, that was one of the things that connected me with Jason, with Red Sydney. He was the one who directed and shot the Call Your Daddy. He also directed and shot Yap. I don't know if
Yep,
you've seen
that's,
Yap.
that's another one you did.
Where I
Yes,
played
one you
an
did. Yeah.
undercover cop. Yeah. He did that one. We did that one together. We did If I Were Dead, where I play this guy who my girlfriend turns into a vampire. She ends up biting me, and I turn into
Yes.
something else.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And we did a project called One Job. One Job is under his YouTube channel, so you wouldn't find it under mine. If you look up Red Sydney, Jason at Red Sydney, you can see the movie One Job. If you think that Call Your Daddy is violent and aggressive, you should watch One Job. It's really violent, really aggressive. I play like this Dominican thug that beats on his girl, and then there's like fighting. I end up like fighting with a machete in my stomach. It's really cool. It's really cool. It was a fun project. All of these projects we ended up doing them pretty much in one day. I wrote it with already the locations in mind, with already the people in mind who I wanted to work with, and so basically I was writing it like a producer. Since I was producing it anyway, I was writing it like a producer. Okay, what location can we afford? What actors can we afford? The makeup artists, the lighting, the sound, all that stuff. So what time can they be there? Can they get there here? Whatever. So we would start shooting really early in the morning, and then we just shoot throughout the day and try to just bang it out all through in one day. And it's worked pretty nice. Well, at least with the short films. Of course, a feature film or anything bigger would take longer. But I'm not a rich person. I haven't been rich yet, financially.
Right.
Because I'm rich in life.
So okay, so why I bring up the writing thing is that nowadays, because everything is self-production, so I mean because as you know, and folks who may not know this in acting, there's a lot of hurry up and wait. There's times where you'll book 2 gigs in a row and then not have one for a year. It's one of those things. So nowadays, people, I'm interviewing people all the time, and I myself, we create our own content, and they say a lot of times to write your own stuff and star in it, get your friends together, do a film, because somebody like me will see it and go, I want you in this. That's why I was asking you. I know acting is obviously your first love, but I was just wondering how the writing thing was for you. Like, was it something you kind of, I could do it. Writing's fine. Writing some small stuff is fine.
Yeah, to be honest, writing, producing, directing for me feels like work.
Yeah.
Acting doesn't.
That makes sense.
Acting doesn't feel like work. And,
that makes sense. Totally makes sense.
I was going to say something about that. I'm sorry, continue?
Don't say that. No, that to me, that makes sense. Because, at first, again, acting's your first love. And it's something that you find you take naturally. When you have to write and stuff, that you have to really think about all kinds of stuff. Producing, you're thinking of all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's like there's things around you that you have to think about that you don't. We're just in the scene. You think about that scene. That's all you're thinking about. You're not thinking about anything else.
Exactly. Yeah, and to be honest, going back to what you were saying, now I remember what I was going to say was that I started writing and producing my own films because of that. I had agents and I had managers while I was in Hollywood, but I would get myself more work than they would get me.
Yeah.
So I'm not the type of person that's going to sit around and wait for people to send me stuff. I can't be like that. I was like, too anxious for that. I was like, no, I gotta do work. I can't go a couple months without, doing a project, so I just started writing and producing my own stuff. A lot of that has to do with why I'm here in Miami right now, also because I got an opportunity to with business to make some money over here, and that's why I'm here temporarily right now, because I'm growing my money so that I can continue to produce my own work.
Yeah, there you go.
A lot of the times too, I would get casted for certain projects, and I didn't even like the project. I didn't like the writing. It was, I didn't like the storyline. It was just kind of like for entertainment. There was no there was no value in it. There was no lesson in it. And there's something about me and the work that I want to do is that I want to influence people. I don't want to just entertain you. Yeah, I want to entertain you. I want to make you laugh. I want to make you cry. I want to make you mad. But I want to influence you. I want you to leave that room wherever you saw my film and be like, wow, man, I learned something.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that. And you have to sometimes, again, create something on your own to get noticed, or also not just that, create something on your own so that you actually can practice it. You can do it yourself. So just that you work that muscle of, I want to do this kind of film, so I'm going to make this kind of film, and so you get the experience of making it. You actually get to have the pleasure, as you kind of call it, of actually acting out this role that you want to play. You know, I'm a book writer. I write books, and so I write stories. I write fiction stories. I make the outcomes however I want. They're the outcomes I've always. Sometimes I write about stuff that's based on real life, but I change the outcome because I can do that. You know, that's what writing's great about, and acting is great about. You can actually create your destiny, so to speak, in art. Because also on the side note, you also did a short film I watched called The Objective, which was kind of funny and crazy. You played Cash, and that was with David Castaneda. And so I mean, I just think the short film format. I think it's amazing, first of all, and it's getting bigger and bigger now. I mean, it's getting much more attention, and I think it's becoming just as relevant as feature films. Because I've had people on this podcast who have done some amazing, amazing, amazing short films that are affecting change in the world. And I think, and I feel like you have some in you too. I feel like you have a few more. This is my opinion.
For sure.
I feel you have a few more short films that you want to get out there.
Oh yeah. I never stop working, man. I'm always working. So I just don't like to talk about what I'm doing before it's done. You know, because,
of course.
A lot of things fall in the air, and then I don't like to look like, oh, he said this was gonna happen, and then it didn't happen, because it's happened to me before. I was like, oh, this thing is gonna come out, and then it didn't, and then I look like, oh, I look kind of like I'm professional, like I said that this thing was gonna come out and didn't, so I like to just boom, just hit everybody with it when I have it.
No problem. That's not a problem. I'm just saying I feel like you have some stuff in you that could come out still. You have more. I feel like you have more stories to tell, I think. And now, okay, so I like to do this. This is one thing I do like to do on my shows. I like to ask people, what are some dream roles you would like to have? I like to say, you say it out loud to the universe, it'll provide. So what are some dream roles? If I have casting agents and people listening to this podcast, which they might, because I have friends in Hollywood, they might. Who would you like? What would you like to do as an actor? What are some things you like to do?
Wow.
It's your chance. Come on, Roy. It's your chance. What are some roles you want? Tell him. Hire this man. Hire him. He's ready. He's an actor for hire. He'll come to LA. He'll come to New York. He'll come wherever you want. Just tell him. Tell some people what you want to do.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said before, I like roles I can sink my teeth into. I like roles that are going to influence. Even if I'm playing a bad guy, because I play bad guy a lot. I guess I got that bad guy face. But even if I'm playing the bad guy, as long as I'm influencing the viewers in a positive way. I mean, to be honest, and when you asked me the question, this is the first thing that came up. All right, don't judge me for this.
No judgment. You tell me.
I love The Matrix.
Okay.
I love the story behind it. I love the cast. I love the action, the plot, everything. I love everything about it. I love every single movie. I think a dream role for me would be to play a role like Neo. I mean, of course, it's already been done, so I'm definitely not gonna play a sequel.
Right.
or a redo of The Matrix. Unless it's really that badass, but I really doubt anything's gonna beat the original Matrix. But it rolls like that, where there's action, there's romance, there's all this stuff, but behind it there's an underlying message, and those are the kind of roles that I would like to play. I'm
gonna tell you what role I want him to play. I'm gonna tell the universe what I want you to play. I want you to play. I'm gonna tell him. I want you to play a leading man role where you go through trials and tribulations, where we see your story arc, where you're up, then you're down, then you get back up. I want to see that story, and I want to see you in a leading man, not just a bad guy. He's a handsome. You guys need to go to his page and see. This is a handsome man here. Okay, so he's a handsome leading Latino American actor. He can pull it down. He can do it with hair. He can do it with no hair. I want to see you do something where it's super it's total drama. I want to be total drama, super serious, but like
Okay.
you go through a storyline arc where you're like where you have up times and you're spending the money, a good time, and then you get down and out. Things happen, you get down and out, and you have to pull yourself from your bootstraps back up. I think that could be a powerful message to all young Latino men, first of all,
Yeah.
who are growing up and see an example of this. We don't see enough examples of these. I mean, like, it's been years since we've had something from like Edward James Olmos or people like that, or Esai Morales, people who've done things like that before. I want to see you do it too. I want to see you, but I want to see you do it as a leading man. We've had black men do it, like Will Smith and I've done it, other people have done it. I want to see a Latino actor go out there and do something that's just like a really meaty story. That's gonna be like, yeah, that's the story I like. It's where you go, wow, this guy really goes through it, and I can relate so many different ways what he's going through.
I would love that. I would love that. And I my style or my craft, if you want to call it, of acting is a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I really like characters where I can make you laugh, but I can make you cry, and I can make you mad, and I can teach you something. Just everything all in one. In 2 hours, in about 2 hours, just change your
right
life in some way. And when you were talking, I thought of the movie Fruitvale Station.
Yes,
and how
yes,
that was
Michael B. Jordan. Yes,
on a real event.
yes.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan. He did an amazing job, amazing actor, and that movie was wow. It was drama, like you said. He really held it down. He showed like his real soft side, but then he showed his real emotional
yes.
side. And it was an amazing movie, an amazing performance.
Well, you know what movie I also think about too. Out of that, I think of Rocky. Just alone, what he did for Italian American actors, just like that was something that he wrote it himself, as you know. Best Picture 1976. But I mean, he wrote something that was, or like it was like another film that of course I love, Saturday Night Fever, with John Travolta. It's it was set to like the night of the dance and the disco, but there was a lot behind this movie. It was more than just that. It was like a guy coming of age and coming into his own in talent. I think you could do those roles. I just think you just be really good at that. That's just kind of when I first think of you. I think of that. I think of depth when I think of you. Just as a little time I've known you, I do. I think you've been through the real life. It's like let's see that translated on screen. But also, I'd love to see you do a comedy. I'd love to see because you seem like you're really fun. I'd love to see you do some flat out funny comedy. But you're right. In the comedy though, I see you as
comedy roles. I love comedy roles. It's so much fun. I love comedy roles. I pretty much do almost any comedy.
But I see as a comedy role. I see you as a bad person. You have to be the bad guy. To me, you have to be the bad guy as a comedy person. You have to be the bad guy, the protagonist who like bothers the lead guy or whatever. You have to. To me, you have to be the bad guy in the comedy. I don't know why, but I totally just like that's what I see. And I'm a producer, you guys. I know what I'm talking about. Roy, we have to end the show. This is crazy. I can talk to you. You just have to come back on. We're not done. You have to come back on. We're not. We have more to talk about. I mean, it's just there's. The shows. I can only do it for so long, and then also get mad at me out there. But I mean, you're doing great stuff, and I think your world is just beginning. You have a full world ahead of you. And our association is not done at all. If I come to Miami or you come to LA, of course we have to meet in person and hang out and do all that.
For sure.
You can show me, guys. He has to show me how to box. I always wanted to try it. I've never done it. I've always wanted to try it. So you have to show me how to box.
No problem.
I mean, I got into fights back in the day, but I never really like took official lessons or anything. So you gotta show me how to do that. But you come to LA, we gotta hang out. But yeah, definitely. So Roy, tell folks out there just kind of where they can find if they do want to hire you or find. Where can they find you?
Well, my YouTube is Roy's with a Z, ROYZ World with an E, WERLD. So Roy's World is my YouTube. And you can find me on Instagram where I'm most active. Is also Roy's Fit World. So it's Roy's ROYZ FIT WORLD. Roy's Fit World. That's my Instagram. Those are the two places you can find me the most. You can also find me on Twitter as well on the Roy's World. Those are the places you can find me the most. I also have a website. I don't promote it as much, but I do have a website. It's just because most of my work you can find it on YouTube and stuff like that and Instagram. But my website is roysworld.weebly.com, and that is actually with an S. So ROYS world.weebly.com.
And I'll post, make sure on our page, all those websites, these will all be connections will be on that page for you guys, make it a little easier for you. You just go to our Community and Extra Connections page, like the page while you're there. If you haven't been there yet, go there and like it. I post further stuff with the guests and more of their stuff on that page, as well as this interview will be featured on there too. And this interview will also be on iTunes.com under Extra and Community Connections, and Community and Extra Connections, and on Spreaker.com under JLJ Media. This interview and all others. And like I told you guys, we did another interview from other podcasts, A Lot of Help, and it's a good one too. And that's also on iTunes and Spreaker.com under A Lot of Help, which is my life coaching podcast. Roy, thanks for being on the show, of course. And you guys out there and listening to this, I want you guys to have a really good week. I want you to connect, find ways to make connections, talk to people, network, just say hi to somebody if they walk down the streets. But be kind to each other, and I'll see you next time.